Let's go to see the problems and exercises for chapter 9. Number 1, in this case sigma is known. So if sigma is known, we have to use the normal distribution. The correct one is A. Number 2, you look for the t-value for a 95% confidence interval and 24 degrees of freedom. If you look for 24 degrees of freedom, you don't subtract 1, so you have to keep it as it is. So if you go to the table of the t-distribution, you have to go to 95% and 24. So in this case, this is going to be the value 2.064. So the correct one is B. For number 3, we have to see how many observations we have. We have a sample of 25 items, so we have 24 degrees of freedom. The correct one is C. Problem 1. We have to use the normal distribution. Why? Because it says population standard deviation. This is the key word, population standard deviation. So I have the steps here manually. I have the formula. I have the z-value, which is 2.65. Why? Because you take 99.2, you divide by 2. This is 0.496. So if I go to the table of the normal distribution for 0.496, this is going to be the value 2.65. But let me show you also the same problem, how to do it by using the graphing calculator. So in this case, we have to go to Stat, Tests, and we go to z-interval. Then the sigma is 13.5, the x-bar is 60, and the sample size is 81, and the confidence level will be 99.2, and you click calculate. So here it is, 56.022 to 63.978. If we do it manually, maybe sometimes the third decimal will be slightly different. This is because of the 265. Could be, for example, 2.649, but the table has 2 decimals. Problem number 2. In this case, as you can see, the standard deviation goes to the sample, because it doesn't say population standard deviation. So this is going to be a T. Again, we have a 95% confidence interval. We have 24 degrees of freedom. So the value from the table will be 2.064. And this is from the table of the t-distribution. So this is the 2.064. Let's go to follow the same steps by using the graphing calculator. Stat, Tests. Now we go to number 8, t-interval. So in this case the mean is 28, the standard deviation is 7.5, and the end the sample size is 25, and you look for a 95% confidence interval. Click calculate. If we do it manually, the answer is 24.904 to 31.096, exactly the same by using the graphing calculator. Problem number 3. Again, the standard deviation goes to the sample. As you see, it does not say population standard deviation. And you look for a 99% confidence interval. The value is 2.947. Why? Because we have 15 degrees of freedom and we have a 99% confidence interval. Let's go back to the t-table, and as you can see, this is going to be the answer, 2.947 for a 99% confidence interval. 2.947. Now let's go to use again the graphing calculator. Let's go to Stat, Tests, and we go again to number 8, t-interval. The mean is 13, the standard deviation is 0.8, and the sample size is 16, and the confidence level will be 0.99, and then we click calculate. Manual is 12.411 to 13.589. It is exactly the same with the graphing calculator. Problem number 4. Again we have a t-interval. The reason is that this is the sample standard deviation of 6. Sample size is 16. You look for a 90% confidence interval. The degrees of freedom will be the same as the previous problem, 15 degrees of freedom. So 15 degrees of freedom, and here it is because it's a 90%, 1.753. So let's go back to the graphing calculator. We go to number 8 again. The X bar is 22. The standard deviation is 6. The sample size is the same. Change the confidence level. It's now 0.9, 90%. And click calculate. It will be 19.372 or 37 to 24.629. One more time. Don't worry if the third decimal is slightly different. This is because of the number of decimals on the table. Problem number 5. For 5, as you can see, the population standard deviation is given. So we have to use now the normal distribution, the z-table. So for a 90%, we divide 90 divided by 2. This is going to be 45%, 0.45. So for 0.45, it's between 164 and 165. It is going to be 1.645. Again, if you want to use 164 or 165, I will accept it. But maybe when you take the online homework, maybe your answer is going to be slightly different and the computer may take it wrong. So 1.645. So let's go back to the graphing calculator. Now we have to go to number 7, z-interval. Data. The standard deviation is 24. The X bar is 90. The sample size is 256. And the confidence interval is 90%, so we keep it as it is. And click calculate. Here it is, 87.533 to 92.467. Now, for the next question, everything is the same except the confidence level. As you can see, it's 95%. Divided by 2, it's 0.475. So for 0.475, the z value will be 1.96. Let's go to figure it out for 0.475. Here it is. So it is 1.96. Let's go back to the calculator. Stat, tests, and the only thing that I will change will be the confidence level. I will make it from 90%, 95%. And click calculate. 87.06 to 92.94. Then we move on to the next two problems. This is for a population proportion, so we will use the graphing calculator. So we go to Stat, tests, and we go now to A, 1 proportion Z interval. X is the number of successes, 120. N is the sample size, which is 400, and then 95%. And we click calculate. So 0.255 to 0.345. That means the confidence interval will be from 25.5% to 34.5%. Again, problem 7, confidence interval for the proportion. So the X is 80, the N is 400. So we go to Stat, Tests, 1 proportion Z interval, X is 80. The sample size is the same as problem number 6, and the confidence level is the same, 0.95. Click calculate. 0.161 to 0.239. That means from 16% almost to 24%.